All right, 8A, day 1. There's actually no notes for this, and this is nothing you have to take down. This is more just listen and looking at your yellow card we gave you. So just for some examples, we're talking about area. So area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And that's the formula. Now we're talking about the different types you can have. So if you have a triangle that looks like this, you have the base here and the height here. Well, let's say this was 3 and this was 5. Okay? Then simply all you would do is area equals 1/2 5 times 3, which means it would be 7.5 units squared. 5 times 3 is 15, divided by 2 is 7.5. And if we're not given centimeters or inches or meters or anything, we just use a U for units. Now, the next type that we have is, what if my triangle is, whoa. What if my triangle is obtuse? Okay? Well, here's my base. My height is actually what would, if the base continued out, here's my height. Okay? So in this case, if this was 7, okay, and the height out here would be 2, then it would be area equals 1/2, 2 times 7, okay, and that would be simply 7. Now the thing you got to be careful with here is, let's say you were given numbers here, like this was a 3 and this was a 12. You've got to pay attention to what numbers not to use. The 3 is not the height. Okay? The height is actually outside of the triangle, and you got to be careful with that. And then you might have something that looks like this, maybe an isosceles triangle, where here's my base, and my height is inside the triangle. So let's say this was 8 down here, and this was 4 inside the triangle. Well, that would be area equals 1/2 base times height. So that would be 16 units squared. Right? And if you want to write these down like inside the first page of your notes, the green page, that's fine. You don't have to. All right. Next we have a trapezoid. If I can find one. I had one here. Oh, there we go. So let's say I have that trapezoid right here. Okay? Well, I want you to look at this. If I actually carefully trace this, watch what happens. If I could cut that off, never mind. I was going to say if it wasn't that little for isosceles. Well, I'd have to do this and flip it. I have to rotate it actually. It won't let me do that. But I could actually make a rectangle out of this. But it's not letting me do that. Whoa, this is fun. No, it's not letting me cross over. So forget about that. Never mind. All right, so remember, we talked about trapezoids before. This is base 1 and base 2. There's 2 bases. The height connects the bases right here. So this right here and this right here, are these slanted lines are not the height. The height connects the bases. Again, also at a 90-degree angle. So let's say this was 5 and this was 8. And we had a height of 3. Well, if you look at your formula sheet, area is 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times the height. All right? So 8 plus 5 is 13. Half of 13 is 6.5. So this is 6.5 times 3. And 3 times 5 is 15. Here's the 1. 18, 19. 19.5 units squared would be your area. And it doesn't matter if your trapezoid looks like that or like this. The only difference is this time the height. So let's say this was 3 again, this was 5, and this was 8. Your base 1 and your base 2, your height is actually one of the sides because, you know, we have that. Rectangle is easy enough. This goes back to when you're younger. It's a simple formula, base times height. So here's your base, here's your height. And they're interchangeable because you can look at them in 2 different directions. So if this was 2 and this was 7, then area is simply 2 times 7, 14 units squared. All right, parallelogram. This is what I was thinking of before, and I messed up. Here's my parallelogram. If I do that little trick here, and I could take this over, and I could basically, you know, get rid of this, and I move that piece over, what do I have? I have a rectangle. Okay? So let's look at that shape again. All right? My height is right here. Well, again, if I cut that piece off, where would that be? That'd be my height right there. Here's my base. Here's my base. So that's why the height is the dotted line inside. Again, not these slanted pieces here. Most common mistake is to do that. So if this was 9 and this was, say, 3, okay? With a parallelogram, it's simply the same as a rectangle because it could be cut and turned into a rectangle. 9 times 3, 27 units squared. And last but not least is the circle. Whoa, that's a big circle. All right, so we have a special line here called the radius. It goes from the center to the outside. Area is pi r squared. So let's say this is 3. Okay? Well, then it would be pi 3 squared. And there's 2 ways to write this. We can say just 9 pi and leave it like that. You do not have to calculate it sometimes. We can leave it like that. Or we can take, on our calculator, 9 times 3.14 and get 28.26. And then either one of those units squared. So that's just a quick review of the 2-dimensional area formulas we'll be using in this part.